if there was no risk, then just everybody would be taking it. But the problem is there's this incentive to do this thing where you respond and gain all this strength, but there's this downside on the other end. But I think about, look at extreme sports, look at bull riding, look at people, getting into squirrel suits and jumping off cliffs. There's a lot of really, really risky behavior that I don't want to say we condone, but we aren't as hypercritical of. And I often try to get to the bottom of why there is that animosity towards people on gear. I get the sentiment, like you said, like you're grinding and you're working and you see other people doing things to jump way past you. I don't know. I have a hard time not seeing that as kind of a weird sense of entitlement that you have the ability to dictate how far somebody else goes with their life. Because if I want to take risks, if I want to go jump, if I want to go slacklining, if I want to go free solo, El Capitan, like Alex Honnold, without any supportive gear, like if that's how far I want to go, then the risk is on me. There's always going to be people saying, yeah, but you're influencing X, Y, and Z to do it. So there's this kind of peculiar thing. There's no easy answers, and I'm not suggesting there is one, but that's just kind of where my head goes with all this.
Yeah, and the thing, I think it's the lack of transparency, because what I've seen is the natural guys who I talk to, engage with on my channel and stuff, they look up more to the untested lifters, because there's the transparency of they are untested. We know they're on stuff. That's okay. Whereas there's the lack of belief on the tested side. So it's interesting because I often see a better response when I interact with the untested guys, because that's who people look up to, even who aren't on anything. They have no desire to take anything, but they're like, we know we can believe that because they're straightforward. We know they're on stuff. And they almost prefer that over the pushback I get if I have like a top level natural tested guy on is way more than the other way around. But so I think that's part of it. It's just like they want to know the transparency is there.
So I have a question for you, because I know I monologue plenty, but this is a discussion that I have trouble wrapping my head around, because it feels like it gets almost schizophrenic with what people push towards, like what they want to see from this culture. Because on the one hand, what's all the internet stuff about? It's about fake natties. It's about doing natty or not. It's about so-and-so claims that they're natty. And then you have the internet saying, and God help you if you do have a muscle, or God help you if you are strong, because even if you happen to be natural, you're going to spend your entire life with people questioning that, which fair enough. It comes with the territory, but there's this push that's the big problem, that people aren't being transparent. People are looking at the Rock. I hear the Rock a lot. People are like, well, he should just be upfront with what he is, what he's doing. On the other hand, if everybody's transparent, I can't think of a faster way to triple the amount of people who use steroids overnight. And guys, I'm super proud to have Boostcamp as a primary sponsor of this channel. Not only is Boostcamp the easiest and most intuitive way to track your training and your progress, not only is it absolutely free to use, not only does it feature an immense library of some of your favorite programs, but it features an exclusive library of programs you will not find anywhere else. In fact, there's so much content there, I'm actually doing a series specifically dedicated to the programs that you will only find on Boostcamp. Stop what you're doing right now, click the link below, download Boostcamp. And guys, as I film this channel just hit 100,000 subs like 5 minutes ago, and that number would not have been possible without the support of sponsors like Boostcamp. So I want to thank you, the viewer, for your support, and I want to thank Boostcamp for their support. If The Rock comes out and says, oh, no, this is, what is he, 50? He's got to be pushing 50, if not into his 50s. Just carved out of marble. He looks better than he did when he was 25. And if he comes out and he's like, yeah, this is my cycle. This is exactly what I do. I want to be transparent. I don't mislead anybody. You're going to get a rush of kids just absolutely slamming tests the next day. What do you think about, I guess, where kind of the integrity is? I mean, should people vie for that transparency, or do you think that people that have that influence should use and just kind of keep it on the down low?
Well, from my experience, almost with the stuff I've talked about, these videos I've made, series on stuff, and the responses I get is when I'm completely open about everything, it actually discourages a lot of people to the point where they're like, okay, I don't want to deal with all that. That's crazy. But they really love hearing about it. And I've done polls on the channel to kind of see what the community thinks. And it'll be like 90% of people don't take anything, but they freaking love hearing about it. And what I've found is guys are going to take no matter what. You can't talk them out of it. If someone comes to me, if a kid comes to me and he's 18, 20, and he wants to take something, I can't talk him out of it. He's going to take it. The only thing I can do is mitigate the damage, almost like Derek from More Plates, More Dates does, where he's like, you guys shouldn't take this, but you're going to, but this is the smart approach. Because guys are going to take it. Like when I was 20, no one could have talked me out of not doing it. And I'm like, at that point, we're going to do it. I wanted to do it. I wanted to compete with Chris Hickson. I wanted to hang with him. I saw what he was doing, and I was going to do it. So it's almost more like steering people as far as do it the right way, do this, don't do the crazy shit that we've done. It's more of that route. So I'll even make these videos like you're talking about Trent, and everyone's like, damn, dude, I don't want to do that. And almost being open in a sense, but we're not a celebrity figure. And that's where you could draw the line, because The Rock, it could be a different story. That's a much more general population that has no knowledge of lifting and such. So they might be more willing to jump on. But our kind of community, they're pretty well educated. They're not just going to be like, okay, he does it, so I'm going to. So it's almost the opposite. But I think in a celebrity role, you're spot on.
It's almost like that difference between abstinence or teaching sex ed. It's like you're trying to prevent this negative outcome of people not going on that and dealing with those consequences that you think they shouldn't have to deal with because they're not in a position where they should be going on. But if you go too far, if you take this zero tolerance approach, you almost end up doing more damage. So that's really interesting. I tend to agree with you. I think the transparency, and if people are really, really open the way you've been, the way I am, I try to walk this weird line because I want to be open about it. I've never denied it. When I went on, I was like, I'm never ever going to lie to somebody if they ask me about this. Just I can't do it knowing that I have to have it hidden away in my backpack and nobody can ever know or see it or whatever. I had to know why I was doing it. There had to be a principle and I had to be able to defend it. So thankfully I've been able to do that. But as my channel reaches more people, I don't want that to be the main theme, because it's easy for the channel to just be about gear use, and it can often go, it can go in a productive way, like you and Derek from More Plates, More Dates. But my experience with the comments is it really quickly devolves into this kind of shit show, and it's a distraction. And I wanted my stuff to specifically be about, programming or whatever. So I try to be open about it, but it's this weird line I try to walk, because every time I make a video about it, every time I talk about it, the comments just evolve into a shit show. The feedback's kind of weird. So it's really a tricky thing to handle. I've never been able to wrap my head around the people that pull for full transparency while also talking about unrealistic expectations. Because one of the things I always hear is that you get guys, let's say like a Mike O'Hearn, somebody that everybody thinks is on gear, probably is, and it's very adamant that he isn't. And everybody says, well, that sets standards for people that are coming into it. And I think, what does that say about the people coming into it? If they look at a Mike O'Hearn and they think, I want to be like that, and their assumption is that he's natural and I'm natural, so that I'm going to be able to look like Mike O'Hearn, I don't follow the process. Whereas if you're The Rock and you tell everybody that you're on, the assumption is that everybody's going to be one steroid cycle away from looking like The Rock, or that if they just keep their life, you know what I mean? It's like you can't get, when you're talking about outliers, you can't get away from the unrealistic expectations. And I don't concern myself with trying to onboard people based on promises that they're going to be world class, because all they do is look at world class people on Instagram. I think there's got to be something has to go back to the earth, as far as you train because it's good for you, because you enjoy it, because you're going to be better than you were before. And I think there's a lot of good stuff to take away that doesn't get hit a lot in any of the discussions.
Yeah, I think, that's why we all started lifting, was we felt better, we enjoyed it, but it's almost turned into this thing where it's like showing off what you can do on social media to an extent, not for everybody, but it's lost some of its purity as far as that, where I think that has helped grow the sport, but people might not be necessarily in it for the right reasons. Whereas 10 years ago, you could only be in it for the right reasons. So that's where sometimes I'll see where people have that nostalgic feel and they're like, oh, I wish it was still like the old days, instead of the days of like Instagram that kind of ushered in that whole side of things.